This course is sponsored by Wounded Warrior Project. We would like to thank Wounded Warrior Project for their generosity in making this course possible.
Hi, I'm retired Lieutenant General Mike Linnington, CEO of Wounded Warrior Project. We are thrilled to work alongside PsychArmor to help bring greater awareness of our veterans and military communities through its series of military culture courses. Since 2003, Wounded Warrior Project has been transforming the way America's injured veterans are empowered, employed, and engaged in our communities. And we simply couldn't do it without organizations and individuals who believe as passionately as we do in serving those who have served and sacrificed so much on our behalf. That's why it's so important to inform and educate our citizens on military and veteran culture, so they can understand their needs and learn how to best support our brave military men and women while in uniform and once they transition back into civilian life. On behalf of our entire team at Wounded Warrior Project, thank you for supporting warriors and their families.
Hello, my name is Michael Richardson. I'm responsible for all the mental and brain health programs at Wounded Warrior Project. I'm a combat veteran and I'm a retiree, as is my wife Beth, and I'd like to welcome you to this course, Myths and Facts about Wounded Warriors. Wounded veterans are exceptionally capable, motivated, and skilled. They deserve every opportunity to thrive and to engage meaningfully in the civilian world. A particularly challenging time for many veterans is during their transition to civilian life. This can be even more difficult for wounded warriors when they are faced with the negative and often inaccurate beliefs called stigmas about who they are and how they fit into the world. In fact, sometimes these stigmas are so strong that they can act as a barrier to seeking care and assistance. In this course, we'll take a look at some of the myths of our country's wounded warriors and talk about facts. We'll focus particularly on mental health issues, but many of these myths are true for all types of wounds or injuries. By the end of this course, you will have what you need to better connect with wounded warriors in your life. So let's dive right in. Myth number 1. Wounded warriors are unapproachable and civilians can't understand or connect with them. If there's one thing from this course to remember, it's that wounded warriors are people first. Yes, these men and women have made tremendous sacrifices for all of us and for their comrades in service, which few outside the military can understand. But this shouldn't prevent you from reaching out. Just like you, every wounded warrior has a story, and most want and need to connect with others. Approaching any veteran with respect and a willingness to listen and understand will go a long way toward creating those meaningful conversations. Myth number 2. You need to have a deep understanding of military culture before talking to a veteran. Look, you don't have to know much about the military in order to offer your support or appreciation to a wounded warrior, their family, or to any veteran. However, understanding a few simple facts will go a long way in effective communication. For instance, if you know that there are different branches in the military and different jobs within those branches, you can start by asking, so, what branch did you serve in? This gives you instant credibility with the veteran and may open the door for ongoing conversation. Like anyone, veterans appreciate a genuine desire to understand and to know more about their stories. Myth number 3. Veterans are so strong that they are unaffected by physical, psychological, and emotional stressors. And because of their training, they can seem somewhat callous and emotionless. Look, service members are expertly trained and conditioned to function in a broad range of dangerous situations through routine exposure. However, despite the fact that many service members are trained to prepare for nearly every contingency, wounded veterans grapple with the consequences of their injuries just like anyone would. There is simply no training that can erase all of the impact of the physical, psychological, or emotional stress or trauma on anyone, including our military personnel. So myth number 4, all veterans experience post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is not a military-specific condition. In fact, about 8 million people in this country have PTSD at any given time. Now, because of how often veterans are exposed to traumatic events, PTSD may affect them at a slightly higher rate than civilians. But PTSD can affect anyone who has experienced a trauma and has difficulty adjusting afterwards. You certainly don't have to be a veteran to experience trauma and struggle with problems as a result. It is important to remember as well that people who have PTSD are not dangerous. Myth number 5. It is easy for warriors with invisible injuries like PTSD, traumatic brain injury, substance use problems, or depression to seek care, just like people with physical injuries. Unfortunately, there are still people who believe that seeking treatment for mental health problems is a sign of weakness, defeat, or something to be ashamed of. This belief, this stigma, whether held by the veteran or those around them, often prevents people, veterans included, from admitting they have symptoms and from seeking the care that they need. Even though most warriors complete their military service and transition to their communities without ever being diagnosed or treated for mental health conditions, veterans with invisible injuries may need support and encouragement to ensure they get the help they need. Myth number 6. Traumatic brain injury, or TBI, in veterans is easily recognizable because a person will show obvious symptoms. But similar to PTSD, TBIs are not specific to the veteran population. Every person with a TBI is different. Because TBI is an invisible wound, people who don't understand might struggle to effectively communicate with veterans who have a brain injury. This can also lead to challenges at home and in the workplace. Knowing how to best support veterans or anyone with TBI starts with education. There are specific things everyone can do to help, including strategies for family members and even unique accommodations in the workplace. Please see the resource page and the PsychArmor courses on TBI. So for more information, please go to PsychArmor.org and search for traumatic brain injury. Myth number 7. All combat experiences are traumatic. While combat is always a life-changing experience, it varies widely between veterans who experience it. If you would like to better understand a veteran's combat experiences, it is vital to really listen to them, as well as to their family members. Veterans have unique and compelling stories of combat and other experiences in the military. The time you spend listening without judgment can be very rewarding for you and empowering for the wounded warrior. Myth number 8. Veterans don't communicate very well. Now, veterans have been trained to communicate in a very efficient manner, often using phrases that only veterans understand and may seem quite foreign to those who haven't served in the military. You'll notice that veterans often seem to have their own language when talking to one another, especially if they served in the same branch. But ask questions if you don't understand, and remember to ask open-ended questions that give them the permission to speak. For instance, like, what was your best experience in the military? And then listen, really listen when they open up. So myth number 9, wounded warriors can't stay on active duty. Many wounded warriors leave active duty service because of their injury, sure, but some remain on active duty. Some of these service members are able to perform all of their previous job requirements, while others will continue to serve in a different manner. For instance, when the service members are not physically able to complete the requirements of their prior job, there are often military positions in teaching, training, policy, tactical planning, and many other opportunities where their talents can be and are utilized and valued. So now, myth number 10. Wounded warriors always require a lot of extra help in order to succeed in the civilian workforce. No two wounded warriors will be impacted by their injuries in the same way. Veterans with disabilities may or may not feel comfortable sharing the challenges that they face. But if they do disclose their challenges, it is often easy to make accommodations that help them to be successful. By and large, veterans bring an ethic of outstanding attention to detail, professionalism, and loyalty to their work in the civilian space as they did in the military. These are proud citizens who want to succeed and contribute. Employers often find that their willingness to listen, adjust, and provide their veteran employees with the tools they need benefits the entire organization. Myth number 11. Injuries experienced during military service only affect the veteran without much impact on his or her family. Let me tell you, families of wounded warriors have served alongside their veteran. Their veteran's injury or illness changes the entire family's daily lives as they support their veterans through their recovery and transition. This can particularly affect wounded veterans' children. Family dynamics can be strained if wounded veterans' roles as parents or spouses are changed due to their illness or injuries. The families of wounded warriors are strong and resilient, but they may need the support of their communities, even if they don't ask for it. If you want to help but don't know how, just ask. It may be difficult for some families to open up about their needs, so be patient. Ask questions and really listen. Myth number 12, wounded warriors are broken. Injury during military service changes a service member, but this does not mean that he or she is broken. Actually, quite the opposite. It often highlights their strength and resiliency. Advances in military medicine and protective equipment have increased the survival rate of service members who have sustained injuries on the battlefield or at other times during their service. Life can be fulfilling and meaningful, despite the wounds that are either seen or unseen. America's wounded warriors are well known for their resilience and courage in the face of adversity. Wounded warriors are anything but broken. And I want to thank you for taking this course and for your interest in learning more about our country's wounded warriors. We hope this course has helped you understand some of the truths about these brave citizens, their experiences, and their families, so you can more effectively and meaningfully engage with the wounded warriors in your life.
If you have any questions or need assistance, go to the PsychArmor website or call the PsychArmor support line at 844-779-2427. Thank you for completing this course and taking that one step further in learning about our American veterans.